All right, guys, we're going to talk about the first thing for confidence, number one on the confidence ladder, and that is the work. And I want you to really think about this. And right now, as you sit here and watch this video, analyze what kind of work are you putting in. And ask yourself the question, do you think that relates to your confidence when you step into a game, when you step up to the plate, when you are going to give a speech in school, when you're about to take a test in school, with anything that you're doing, right? If you're not feeling very confident, I want you to ask yourself the very first question, which is the most important. What kind of work have you put into it? And how much work have you put into it? Those things are crucial. And so we're constantly searching for more confidence, and we're so worried about the confidence that maybe we lack. But when you really get down to it, have you been putting in the work? And when you start to feel like you can earn it and that you deserve it because you have put the work in, you have put the time in, you're going to start to reap confidence from that. And this is crucial, guys. This is where so many of us get mixed up with this. We forget about confidence and work and how they're totally interconnected. And let's just give a couple of examples just so you understand what I'm talking about. If you have a test in school and you haven't studied at all for it, you're not going to feel very confident because you haven't put in any study work. You don't know the material. And so again, there's no confidence there. If you got the news from the teacher that you have a test in 1 week and you started studying for that test every single day and you just worked your tail off at making sure you knew the material and you didn't skip a day, by the time that Friday came when the test is showing up on your desk and you know you've put in 7 days worth of work and have understood the material, you've studied it, you've memorized it, are you not the most confident you've ever been? Right? And so for some of you, that test goes on your table and you're filling out the answers to the question without even reading the whole question because you've memorized it. You've put in the work, you've studied and done your time and you've earned it. Right? It's as simple as that with everything else we're doing. When you're up to the box and you're in the batter's box as a hitter, you're thinking to yourself, man, I don't feel like I can really get a hit right now. Well, let me ask you this. How often have you been in the cage? How often have you been working on your swing? And more importantly, how often have you been working on the things that you know you need to work on, right? Your weaknesses. Maybe your weakness is you can't hit an outside corner pitch, or you're always late, or you're dropping your hands, whatever it is. There's so many of them. So ask yourself, have you actually addressed these issues? When you can start to really do the things that are tough to do the things that nobody else wants to do but you know are necessary, there's going to be a sense of confidence that comes along with that. Because again, it's all about the work you've put into it. And it's not rocket science. It's not confusing at all. We want to look for this secret answer far too often. And when we can start with the work and put in the time that's necessary, you will start to see more confidence show up for you automatically. And it's a beautiful thing. You know, it's something that you don't have to try to create or come up with or even work on as much internally. We'll talk about in other videos how that is something that's very important. You need to be able to work on your internal self mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I think when you're hitting on all cylinders, you're going to reap the most benefits from everything, confidence being one of them. Even something as simple as throwing a ball in a radar gun. If I throw the ball 60 miles an hour and somebody asks me if I could throw the ball 70 miles an hour all of a sudden, I'm not going to deep down have any confidence to do that because I've never done it. And so when you start to see these things happen in practice of what you're trying to do, now you can have confidence that you can do it in the game. We have to stop believing we can do these things in the game when we have not seen ourselves do them before in practice. It's not fair to yourself, to be honest with you. And when we think that way, while on one side of the coin I understand you want to be optimistic, on the other side you need to also be realistic because that's setting yourself up for failure and then that's setting yourself up for disappointment. And again, there's these things that, one thing leads to the next. They all link together. And so we're talking about it right now. You put in the work that will link to more confidence. The last video I just made is laying out this whole confidence section. I talked about very specifically Confidence is a result of all the things that have happened beforehand. So, start putting in more work. Start putting in more work with a detailed game plan. Get out your notebook, get out your phone, and start jotting down what your game plan is going to be for tomorrow and for next week. Whether that be working out more, taking more swings, practicing more in your game, working on those skills you know you need to improve on, and also honing in on your strengths as well. Trying to get better in all areas to become the most complete player you can be. But spend time, come up with a game plan, which I'll help you out with as well. And once you have a game plan, once you have a playbook, now you just take that playbook to the field or to the practice session or the gym and just follow it. Right? Let's make things easier on ourselves as well. And so, while work is super important, you need to put it in. I don't want you to think it's just grind every single day, every single minute of what you're doing. Let's have a game plan. Let's be consistent with what we're doing. If we're working out, let's make a schedule where we do it 3 or 4 times a week and start with between 30 minutes to 45 minutes each session. Start with something very manageable and then build up from there. That's something that's going to be way more sustainable as well. And even just that, setting it into a routine is going to build more confidence. It's not about always who outworks the other by putting in more. While that is, you are going to reap the rewards from that. It's also about understanding that you need to get some traction. You need to get some traction by just setting a system into place. Get into some routines where you're doing something at the same time each day throughout the week. That's something that you will repeat, I promise you. If you spend Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 o'clock on those days, you're working out and that's all you're doing, now you know that's into your routine. Now when that time comes and that day comes more than once, you start to understand that you have something to do. You've set that in place. And so start setting those things in place to then get the work ethic going, get some traction, and now you're putting in more work. You do a little bit more each time, and the work that you're putting in is leading to more confidence, I promise you. Start trying this out and start seeing for yourself how this is going to work. And I'll give you one quick story for me personally. Walking up into the box in those weighty moments, in those moments that are a little bit more pressure than the others. Some of these thoughts come to mind. And for me, when I would get into the box, I would start thinking about what did I do when everyone else was sitting on the couch? What did I do in those September, October, November months, when nobody else was working? Those are the things that I'm remembering that I've put in that time. And now I start to get this sensation, or I start to realize that there are separators of things that I had been doing. And so now when the ball's coming in, my hands are loaded and I'm getting ready to swing that bat, I have those thoughts in my head, seconds before the ball's pitched. It is going to give a great feeling of confidence. And it's not something made up either. It's not some story you're telling yourself. It's real life. These are things that you've done, right? These are things that you've created that are separators now in your game of why you're here and maybe somebody else is down here, right? It's earned and it's deserved. So I'll wrap it up with that for this video. I have some homework for you and I want you to think about this. Ask yourself, how much work are you putting in right now? Are you doing the right things necessary to take your game to the next level? Some of you might not know exactly and might need a little bit of help figuring that out. That's what I'm here for, and that's why I do this. So feel free to reach out to me independently as well if you wanted to ever work one-on-one with me. And what we would do is dive in and get real specific and figure out what are the things you're doing now, what are the things you need to do to get you to your final destination. And we'll look at everything in great detail as well to make sure we're giving yourself the absolute best chance you can. So spend some time, analyze that, think about what you can do differently, what you can do better, maybe what you can do more of. Analyze it all, take it in, and spend time before you get into your week with a simple game plan, and it's going to help you out tremendously. Stay tuned, guys. The next one we got is going to be experience, and so got another topic for you. So go ahead and jump to the next video.